our YouTube live right now too. So, and getting back up on the screen, here we go. All right, so tell me about your daily success systems. Kaylin, I heard you had a great call. What was your lead-in for everybody to know about?
So I saw on social media that one of my contacts recently went to Universal Studios, so I just made a call and asked how was that trip.
Yeah.
And it was a great phone call. So
Perfect. I mean, that's, so just natural conversations, because you would do that conversation whether you're selling real estate or not, right? What this does is just gives you that sort of impulse to go do the call that you would do anyway. And I love that about it. What else? How'd you guys do? You mentioned the person in another state. What'd you guys talk about?
She moved up there for her kids.
Right.
Because now they have 2 grandkids, and
yeah.
she grew up here in California, and she hates it up there.
Yeah.
So she wants to move back. So and she told me that the last time I talked to her, and she's just really hating it up there.
There are a lot of.
Oregon.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who, I just had some friends who moved back from Idaho. A lot of people who moved out of California because California is California. But they got to where they were and they realized, oh, I don't like it here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They moved to Texas and they realized Texas is Texas, right? Or Florida or Oregon or Idaho or the only people I've heard happy are North Carolina. Anyway, good. What else? Any other calls? Yeah.
I talked to an old coworker.
Old coworker, nice.
I called her to see how she was doing. I thought she was going to be at work, but she answered.
Nice.
So
yeah.
Talked to her, touch base.
Good.
Gave her the whole thing.
Little Ford thing? Awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. Calls?
Yes, I called an I guess it was his soccer coach
Okay.
of mine. And, well, I was in real estate with his son, but he kind of stopped because he couldn't pass the test after the third track.
Okay.
And he was like, well, yeah, I talked to my son about you like about 20 days ago. And I was like, oh, really? And we just talked about his league and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I invited him to this Wednesday, to the Extravaganza.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, thank you very much. We'll be there in company.
Good tie-in, yeah. So we got the client event coming on, the Extravaganza. That is an awesome opportunity to do an easy care call, right? Just calling, hey, we're doing this thing for the kids, bring them by, right? That's a great opportunity. Good pulling. All right, Christine, how'd you do?
I called a distant relative, but she's just looking to rent in San Diego.
Okay. Now, what is she, that's good. That tells you she's looking to rent,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that tells you that there's a housing situation going on. And so it's just now taking a look at the whole situation and wondering, does renting make sense for you at this point? A lot of people think I'm going to rent because the market is so high. What they don't realize is that rent continues to rise regardless, right? And so if you can get into a home, the faster you can get into a home, the faster you start building long-term wealth, period, right? If you can do it, it makes financial sense. So hey, today we are going to be doing some of the work to give you that sense of expertise and knowledge so that you can go out and speak authoritatively about what's happening in the real estate market. And so we're calling this Connect with Your Market. Cool. So, going to do that. So, in connecting with the market, we're going to talk about knowing your market, about building your expertise, about utilizing your resources, and then we'll be getting into our recap, and you guys will go out and finish your daily success system. Okay. This is a quote from Gary Keller in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Here's the truth. If it's been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it's been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be possible in your world. What do you guys think about that? What does that generate in your mind?
Excitement.
Yeah? Yeah.
That Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is that a book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to pick up a copy of that and be reading it. Millionaire Real Estate Agent was written by Gary Keller around 2004, I think. And what Gary did was he looked at millionaire real estate agents. They surveyed millionaire real estate agents across the country, inside Keller Williams and out, and then they systemized what they did, right? And so it became the foundation of wealth for thousands of real estate agents since then. And it holds true to this day. Now some of the methods like internet prospecting, those things have been added in, we've got to adapt, but the fundamentals of how you run a business, absolutely, it is a foundational book for your knowledge about how to run a real estate business. All right, what else? Anybody else reacting to this quote from Millionaire Real Estate Agent? what this basically tells us is if there's a system, it's just a matter of applying it. And I always love to use the fitness metaphor because it's true, right? There's no mystery or science that you can't understand about getting into shape. It's just applying a system and getting really boring with that system over time. When I say boring, I mean consistent. It's the same thing in your real estate success. You just have to get really boring and consistent. And if you do that, then what you can do is limitless, right? But if you don't have a foundational system, a model, then you're going to be winging it. You're the guy who goes to the gym and you're like, I'm going to use the neck machine today, right? Or whatever that is. And you just go in there and you have and you get burnt out, you hurt yourself, you're injured, and then you take 6 months off. And that's most real estate agents. They come in, they go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to door knock, and they have no idea what they're doing. And then they go, it didn't work, and they take 6 months off, right? You want to apply models and systems. So knowing your market. What's that?
I said that was like a definition of me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definite. It's everybody, right? And one of the foundational things that happened in Gary Keller's life was he encountered Tony Robbins. And in Tony Robbins, he learned the science of models, right? And he started taking what he learned there in personal achievement, and he applied it to the real estate industry, and he revolutionized the real estate industry. So, what does connecting with your market mean to you?
Just being up to date and knowing what's going on in the market and like interest rates, just everything that someone would ask a question. Because I feel like a lot of times the first question people say is, "How's the market?"
Right.
It's just, how's the market? So you got to know what you're doing. You got to know your job. So
Absolutely.
It's super important.
What else? Anybody else? What does know your market mean to you? Anybody? Well, the way I think about it is, it's knowing more than the headlines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people know the headlines, and most real estate agents you talk to know the headlines. But you, as a real estate professional, as an expert, you're going to know everything you can possibly know about your market, whether that's a neighborhood, a city, a county, or even a segment of your market. Like, you're going to know that. What you choose to know is up to you, but the knowledge is all out there, and there's a lot of places you can go. So let's get into that a little bit. So knowing and connecting with your market is all about research. There's two levels of every market. There's macro and there's micro, right? Right now we're seeing East Coast versus West Coast, that East Coast prices are still rising, and it appears West Coast prices are dropping. That's weird. So the question becomes why? What's happening to that? What are the factors affecting it? Well, if you're in Los Angeles right now, then you would know that the prices are dropping across the board or on average, and the why is they just instituted a tax on homes selling over $1 million or over $5 million, right? They've got to pay a 4% tax on every home sold over $1 million starting this month. And so what you saw going into this was a fire sale on mansions, right, or $5 million and above. $5 million in Los Angeles County is not necessarily a mansion, is it? No. But that impacts the average sales price across the state, because when you take off $10 million on a home, that has a huge impact overall. So micro versus macro, do you know what's happening? So this system is making me nuts right now. All right, good. Let me get it back up. Here we go, and boom, coming. Good. So we're going to cover what types of market, numbers and real estate agents you should know about the market, how to interpret those numbers to understand your clients' needs. So what kind of markets do you know about? What kind of real estate markets do you know about?
Buyer, seller.
Buyers or sellers, yeah. And typically when we talk about real estate, we say it's a buyer's market. What does that mean?
That there's more buyers.
Mm-hmm.
No, opposite. I'm sorry.
What's
more
that?
sellers.
Prices
Christine.
are lower.
Yeah.
Like home prices are lower.
Home prices are lower. There's more homes on the market. There's more choices. So remember, what is the fundamental law of economics? Supply and demand, right? So buyer's market, there's more supply and less demand. What's a seller's market?
The prices are higher.
Yeah, prices
So
are
they
higher.
make more money when you sell
Right.
your home.
Demand is high, supply is low. So prices go up. What have we been? What were we in since 2020 through 2022?
A seller's market.
Seller's market. Heck yeah. What were the factors that made that a seller's market? Do you know?
People were paying way over asking
Why?
Interest rates.
because interest rates are
Interest
low.
rates,
Low
yeah.
interest
Interest
rates.
rates were like 2%,
Mhm.
right? Unbelievable interest rates.
Money was cheap.
And so money was cheap, so prices went up, supply and demand. Now we just kind of shifted our market a little bit. Where are we now? What would you say we're doing right now?
Now we're buyer's market.
Are we?
No,
I
actually.
would say we're kind of like in a stalemate.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now. It's a weird market.
Well,
What's the factor? What's the biggest factor affecting the market right now?
interest, yeah.
Interest rates. How are interest rates affecting the market?
Because people think they're too high and they want to wait for them to come down.
That's one effect, right? So we've got buyers, sellers are reluctant to sell because they can't move into another house because rates are high. Buyers are reluctant to buy because they just saw 2% and they think, oh my gosh, it's going to go back down. It's never going back down,
Yeah.
right? Never to there. We're lucky if we're going to get to 5. But that's pushing it. What's the other thing that interest rates are doing to the market right now?
Taking out buyers.
Taking out buyers? They are, but what else? Who else are they taking out?
Checking out lenders.
Lenders? Well, lenders are failing, yes, okay. Because they just had the refi boom. Sellers. Why are sellers taken out by interest rates?
Because there's nobody to buy.
Well, if 70% of the market has a 3.3% interest rate,
Why would they sell when they have a low interest rate to get a higher interest rate?
absolutely,
Yeah.
right? And so what that does to us is it keeps supply low. So you would expect this to be a buyer's market, right? Because there's buyers should have the power because things aren't selling quickly anymore, or they're still selling pretty quickly. Why? When rates go up, it typically becomes a buyer's market because sellers have to lower their price and inventory starts to stack up, right? But it's not happening because you have this 70% of the market has a 3.3, 89% of the market's under 5, right? And so we still have low inventory, but we still have high demand. So you just had what offered on your home?
So we list it's at 566 and we got offer at 575.
Over asking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In a buyer's market, you don't get over asking. So these are the kind of things we want to be looking at. Are we balanced market? I don't think we're balanced market. We're in just a kind of a different market, right? There are some segments where it's a buyer's market. There are some segments where homes are sitting, supply is building up. There are some segments where it's just popping as quick as it can. If you have an entry-level home right now and it's priced well, it's gone, right? We'll talk more about that as we go. Inventory. One of the major factors driving any market is going to be inventory. That's the number of houses available for sale, and we touched on that. Do you know what the inventory is in your market? What is the average number of days a home stays on the market? What's the average price of a home in your market? Based on the inventory, what type of real estate market are you in? These are things you kind of need to know. Now, the good news is it's all available to you. The MLS has all of these statistics. You can go on the MLS and pull up the stats tab, and you can do those searches very easily. But those are numbers that you kind of want to know. And that's the numbers that are going to tell you more than the headline. Because headlines are going to say, oh, prices are dropping. Are they? Not really. List prices are dropping, but list prices are dropping largely because homes are going on the market overpriced. Sales prices actually are not crashing right now. But in some segments, they are. In the mansions in Los Angeles, they're definitely crashing right now. But in entry-level homes in LA, they ain't crashing, right? So things you need to be aware of, right? Cool. Interest rates, we talked about this too. Making contacts with lenders in your area so you can stay up to date on your market and answer any questions your clients may have about the process is hugely important. Now, we talked about Keller Mortgage on day one. Keller Mortgage is a great resource to you, right? But also, we've got lenders here in the office as well who are available to you. Tim Reyno down the hall over here and Brandon Bedoin. These are both excellent guys who can help you out with great information about the market. We bring them into our team meetings from time to time as well. Are there any other lenders you can use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. And so it makes sense for you to have a number of lenders in your sphere that you can draw from, because that's going to be very important. I was speaking to an agent last week who shared with me that she has some private bank loans right now that are coming in around about 5.5. 5.5 is a really good rate right now. Would that be important to know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So you want to go ahead and get in touch with every bank, every lender you can, find out what programs are available. We'll bring them in as well to help you build up that information. And then economic factors. These are something we've got to stay in touch with too. What are some economic factors that are going to affect the housing market?
I mean, the interest rates, right?
Interest rates is one. What other economic factors?
Employment.
Employment, yeah.
What's that?
Employment.
Employment. Yeah, employment rate is huge. How many workers are entering or exiting the workforce in your market? Is the economic situation in your area growing or shrinking? That's going to make a huge effect. If you knew that a massive industry was moving into your area and they were going to be doing a lot of hiring, would that be information you needed to know?
Yes.
If you knew a massive employer in your area was closing, would that be good information to know?
Yes.
Absolutely. If you knew that a large employer in your area was closing and you had sellers in your area who you knew needed to get top dollar, would you want to let them know that?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So you want to be able to stay in touch with those economic factors. You know, what's the easiest way to stay in touch with economic factors in your area? I'm going to say the newspaper. Nobody reads it anymore, but it's true.
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce, huge. Chamber of Commerce is a great way to stay in touch with what's happening in your area. Government meetings, yeah, absolutely. So knowing those kind of things. We talked about the sales tax or the tax in Los Angeles. That's an economic factor.
Would like the arena? There's a new arena where I used to live, out in like Palm Desert, Acrisure Arena.
Sure,
Would that be an economic factor?
absolutely. How many people are going to be employed by it?
Okay.
Right? What's the team? Who are they bringing in? Are they how many? What
It's
kind
a
of
hockey
staff?
team, but they
Absolutely.
have like concerts all the time.
All right, but I mean, so the hockey team that goes in there. So where's their office going to work? Are they working remotely? Are they coming in? How many people are on that team? Do they have a full-time coaching staff? Right, those kind of questions.
Okay.
That arena itself, you know, who's managing the arena? Who's the hiring manager? Those are questions you need. All of that, right? Anytime you have something coming in, those are great things to kind of like perk your ears up. Yeah, absolutely. Like here in Riverside, great contacts would be who's the hiring manager for Kaiser Riverside? Who's the hiring manager for UCR? Right? Who's in charge of housing for those areas? Those are things, or for Amazon, right? We don't have all of those questions. Those are economic factors, people employment, things that would be great contacts. Other factors, neighborhood numbers, right? Nearby shops and restaurants, nearby health facilities, neighborhood attractions. You know your mall is going out of business. Is that important?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? So watch for new developments in the works. Roads, housing developments, office buildings, gas stations, shopping centers, tech companies moving to your area. Know the history of your area, how and when it was developed, and when homes were built. Do you know what the major economic driver in this area was up until the 90s?
Agriculture.
Maybe.
Here in Riverside?
In this area of Riverside, yeah. Agriculture was big. March Air Force Base.
Oh.
Massive. Because you not only had the Air Force Base, but then you had all of the aerospace that went with it. Moreno Valley was one of the fastest growing communities in the country at that point. And then what happened? March Air Force Base was decommissioned in the 90s. And all of that aerospace moved out. And all of that military moved out and left a massive vacuum, right? And they've been slowly filling that vacuum, but those are huge economic factors. Things we want to think of, right? So knowing the history is important. Knowing what goes on is really, really important. All right, any ahas from this section? Aha.
Just
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
detailed you have to be, like, to really, it's not like I've lived in Temecula my whole life, but what does that mean if I don't know
Yeah.
important facts of when it started and why, well, I know why Temecula is important or popular because of the wineries. It's a huge attraction and it brings in a lot of money, and the restaurants and the
Yeah.
bed and breakfast is there and all of that stuff. So
Yeah, but those are recent comers, right?
Yeah,
those are relatively
exactly.
new.
So-
and so like Temecula didn't exist before '87 for the most part. It was there, but nobody went there. Why?
because there's nothing to do there.
There was
wasn't-
no freeway.
Yeah.
The
Oh, there's no
15 went in
freeway.
87.
Oh.
And so what happened was the 15 went in and immediately started building housing developments
Mhm.
because San Diego's expensive, it always has been.
Mhm.
And so people started moving. So if you look at Temecula, you've got a housing boom in 87, and then a market crash in the 90s, housing stops. You have a housing boom around 2000, and then a market crash, housing stops. And you have a housing boom right now, right? And so you can see if you're going into a home in Temecula, you either have a 76 home, which is just weird, like
Yeah.
those weird custom homes,
Yeah.
or you have a 1987 build, 88, 87, or you have a 2000s build, or you have a 2000s and now build, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And those are sort of the waves, and you can see that. And so when you walk people through, but that's history. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
That's part of that being an expert in your neighborhood.
Mhm.
And every area has its own story. So being able to share that's really important. Now, the latest boom, you're right, is entertainment. And that's a recent comer. I mean, even when I moved to Temecula in 2004, 2006, Old Town Temecula was a sleepy little nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's grown up so much. The wineries have
Mhm.
done so much. So, cool. So, building your expertise. So now we know what you need to connect with your market. You gotta know how to keep up with the market. You might be thinking, how do I learn that, right? There's so much to know. And it can be overwhelming. The way I like to think of this is landscaping, right? Anybody have a home with like landscape on it?
Mhm.
Okay. I've watched my landscapers. They hardly do anything every week. They walk in, they barely touch anything. It seems like when I'm doing landscaping, it's an overwhelming chore. You want to know why? I only do it once a month, if I do it once a month. But they do it every week. And so they come and they go, pink, 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 and we're out, right? When I wait all month, I get out there and it's just like a jungle, right? And everything looks dead. Same thing with your expertise. Getting started, it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm clearing all this stuff. Oh, it's overwhelming. But then you just keep in touch with the market. You spend an hour a day, or you spend half an hour a day, and you just do that over time. And now it's just like, whip, 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 I know what's going on. But if you try to do it like once a month or every couple months, you check into the stats, it's going to be like landscaping your house once a month. It's going to be overwhelming. You're going to feel like you don't know, and you're going to be behind the curve. So you have to make a habit of maintaining your knowledge. And that's what we're going to be working on today. So building your expertise. You want to be the real estate expert of choice. Once you know your market and you're familiar with the numbers, it's time to begin building your expertise. And part of educating buyers and sellers is becoming the local expert. Knowing your numbers is just the first step. Understanding, interpreting, and applying the numbers, that's where it becomes really important. So what are some ways you've already begun building your expertise on a market level?
Just living in the community.
Living in the community. Yeah, if you lived in your area for a long time, guess what? You have some expertise there. If somebody's moving to the area, do they have that expertise? Nope. All right, so you've got some. What are some other things you're doing right now that have already helped build your expertise?
Just actually working.
Working in it, yeah. Going out and showing homes. Previewing homes. Huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Attending this class. You're building your expertise. Anybody been to our team meeting?
I think I went to one.
Okay. Tuesdays at 11 o'clock. We go through our new listings every week. What are you seeing there? You're seeing what houses are priced at, right? You're seeing what an entry-level home looks like in this area. Just looking at the listing board, you're building your expertise, right? So it's that daily looking. Anybody been on the MLS yet?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're building your expertise. You're looking at those numbers, right? These are things that we can be doing every single day. Anybody search on the internet for real estate news?
Yes. So I like to look at like what the interest rates are for that week.
Yeah.
And sometimes I actually have a lender. I don't know how he got my contact information, but he started sending me emails about this is what the interest rates, and I'm like, you know what, that's actually a really good idea, because I never talked to him, so obviously he probably got it off my social media or something.
Sure.
But I was like, but it makes me want to continue seeing those emails, because I want to stay up to date on what the interest rates are.
Absolutely, yeah. Kaylin, you just went and talked to Tim about something. What did you talk to him about?
So I talked to him about the California Dream Program.
California Dream Program,
Mhm.
down payment assistance. You're building your expertise.
Yeah.
So you now know more than most realtors do, just from that one conversation. So
You
yeah.
know what's something that's really helped me learn a lot about real estate is actually doing videos about things in real estate.
Yep.
Like I did one on like the differences between an FHA and conventional loan. Like honestly, I really didn't know too much about it. And so I called my lender and I asked her all these questions and I made a video, and now that stuff has stuck in my head. Like with the California
Yeah.
Dream for All, I did a video too. So now I'm like, okay, I know if you make under $173,000 in Riverside or San Bernardino County, you know, you can be approved or apply.
That was
So-
amazing. Under $173,000.
Mhm.
That's a ton.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing. Teaching is mastery. And so what you just said is beautiful. Yeah, I forced myself to do videos. When I did the videos, I had to learn the stuff. Then I had to share the stuff, and now I'm an expert and I can talk about the stuff. So it's a great hack, absolutely. Cool. All right, so 4 steps to building expertise. Learn the market. The MLS can help you with that. You can research the numbers there. Learn your clientele. This is really important. Listen to individuals and keep the headlines in context. Right? You need to know more than the headlines. Cool. So, know your language of real estate. Okay. So the language of real estate is basically the statistics of the market, right? And it all starts with that. It all starts about knowing how much last year, right? Because those are the stats that are important. If I know that last year at this time, a home was on the market for 6 days, and this year at this time, a home is on the market for 30 days, what does that tell me? Market slowed down. Has it slowed down a lot? Not really. Because I also need to know what's the average historically, right? So I contextualize those things. But when people say to me, the market is crashed or homes are sitting on the market with a lot of price reductions, if I can come back and say, well, it's true there are a lot of price reductions, but if you look at the average sales price, it's actually higher or as high as it was, I know more than the headline, right? And that's the language of real estate, right? And know your business. So knowing what's happening in the market, the language of real estate is important, and knowing your business is important. So I can look at agents in this market who sold 121 homes last year. But if I watch their trends year to date, it's been a steady decline, right? Do they know those numbers? And I'll tell you is most realtors do not run their business like a business, and they don't actually know their numbers. You ask them, how many homes have you sold this year? And they'll say, I think it was like 17, right? How can you not know your numbers? If you're running a small business and you're printing out shirts or hats and you don't know how many units you've moved, you don't know how much money you've made, right? You also don't know the trends. If you're not watching the trends and you're just kind of living out of your checking account, and you're not paying attention that there is a trend down in buyers, right? Then you're going to get to the point where there's no business, you're going to wonder why. If I'm running a Chick-fil-A and 1 week I sell 100 less chicken sandwiches and the next week I sell 200 less chicken sandwiches, I got to stop and say, oh my gosh, we have a problem. And the faster I see that problem, the better. If I realize that my call to lead ratio goes from 10 calls to 30 calls, now I got to say, oh my gosh, I've got a problem, right? I know those numbers. It also tells me how I'm going to do. If I don't track those numbers and I think, well, it's going to make 10 calls a day, but I'm not tracking the lead to call ratio, then what's going to happen? I'm not going to have any leads because the ratio shifted to 30, but I wasn't paying attention to it. So I stopped. I was just making 10, and now my leads just got cut by a third, right? So, or 2/3. So we got to make sure we're watching that. So track the bigger market, but track your own business as well. Use Command to track your leads. You'll notice in Command we have the Opportunities tab. You can track your leads all the way through the process, from cultivate to appointments to showings to all the way through. And what that does is it projects your income for you throughout the whole year, and it'll tell you what's likely based on where they are in the pipeline. So if you had a lead today came in, that Louisiana referral, put that in your pipeline as cultivate, right? You have a lead today and want to move back, put them in cultivate. What does that tell you? I got to watch that. That's likely business. The more you get in that pipeline, the more money you see you can make, the more urgency you have around those leads, but you have to follow and track those things. Okay, so tracking the changes allows people participating better understand what might impact their clients and serve them better. Changes could be signs that you need to reach out to more people It might be signs you need to be more patient, right? If your clients, I had clients who moved back from New Mexico last year, and they were going to buy a house, and their impression was California's a fire sale. Everybody's moving out of California. It should be so easy to find a home. And if I didn't know the market, and I said, oh yeah, you're right, I'm watching headlines, they're all leaving, when we started searching for houses, they would have been really frustrated. They were frustrated anyway. But I said is, no, you have to understand, the houses are selling in like 6 days here. Prices aren't down, prices are up, right? And I know you've made money on your home, but you're also gonna have to bring money here. And it gave them a realistic view, right? People watching the market right now might think, buyer's market, you've got to be the one who can tell them the truth. Learning your clientele. Who are the buyers in the market right now? Who are the sellers? Does this market benefit your clients? Does this market put your clients at risk? Right? So this is important stuff. And I've been talking to top producers about this as well. If you're used to pulling X number of listings out of your farm every year, that might not happen this year. Why would that not happen? We talked about this already. Why might someone's farm, geographic farm, not produce the way it had in the past this year?
Nobody's selling.
Why aren't they selling?
The interest rate has to be happening.
Rate lock, interest rates, right? Yeah. So if I'm not looking to see who the sellers are, and I'm just doing business as usual, what's that going to mean for my business?
You're gonna decline.
It's going to decline. Who are the sellers in this market right now? We had a panel of different title reps and lenders in right now, and they were sharing some of their insights into that. Who are the sellers right now?
I remember one of them saying a lot of like deaths in the family.
Death, yeah.
Mhm.
When people die, guess what? Home's got to sell.
Mhm.
So death, I mean, I hate to say it, but in every market, people are going to die, right? And that's going to, so knowing that tells me, okay, if I want to get my unfair share of the listings, I know that those are sellers who are going to sell in any market, right? So I probably should know how to handle that. Who else is selling right now?
Job relocation.
Job relocation, yeah. So that we talked about knowing who's bringing people in, who's taking people out, right? So that's really important. Who else is going to sell right now?
People leaving the state.
People leaving the state. We know that that's happening, yeah. So some of my marketing, some of what I'm doing should probably be emphasizing my massive referral network. I have the largest real estate company in the world, right? Yeah, absolutely. Who else is selling right now?
Divorces.
Divorces, sadly, yeah. In a down economy, divorces go up. Those houses are going to sell, right? And so being able to work with people to find their best solution is probably something you should be thinking about. What else? Who else is selling right now? Anybody else?
A family that needs to get a bigger home.
Yeah, sure. People just outgrew their home.
Yeah.
I have 6 kids. Like when we moved from our first home, it wasn't a choice, right? Like we had 6 people at that point living in 1,200 square feet. It was either that or we're gonna have to lose somebody. Does that make sense? Like, so we had to move, right? So yeah, that's important.
First-time homebuyers.
Well, they're not selling. But
Oh,
they're buying.
selling. I'm
We'll
sorry.
get to that in a second. Okay, one category I want to kind of throw out there is people moving from retirement to elder care, right? So having contacts with elder care facilities is huge right now, right? Having contacts with maybe the homeowners associations in those retirement communities. Farming in some place like down where I live, it's the Colony, is a massive retirement community in Marietta.
Oh yeah.
The Oasis in Menifee.
Sun City and-
Sun City is
Yeah,
basically
that's
all old
huge.
people, right? I mean, yeah, totally, yes. Right, but those are people, and it's just part of life in the modern world is that people get older, and then they probably are going to need to sell that house that they've had so much equity in to finance their care for the rest of their life, right? And so being knowledgeable about that and being able to help people with that is huge. So these are areas people who are going to sell. Who's buying? You mentioned first time.
Yeah,
home buyers.
first-time home.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yep. The millennials are a bigger generation than the baby boomers, right? The baby boomers recall that because how big that generation was. The millennials are bigger. But what happened to the millennials that they haven't bought houses yet? Kayla's laughing. What happened? Anybody want to take a swing at that? Why do they still need to get in houses? Couple things.
It's a lot.
Debt. College debt, right? College debt put a lot of them back because they financed mortgages already and they're still paying them off, right? So the college debt's huge. Another reason is they came of age during a housing crisis. So they were shy to get in the market. So when rates were really low and opportunity was really high, they were really hesitant. And so now you have a lot of millennials who are still, now they're starting families later. So they're getting into the housing market later than traditional, but they need to buy houses and they are driving a lot of the demand in entry-level homes. So millennials are unhoused millennials. Who else? Who else needs to buy a house right now? Rich people.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
Investment?
Rich people don't care, right?
Yeah.
If you're really, really wealthy, the interest rate doesn't matter as much, right? Where it really hurts is people kind of in the middle class who are stuck. They can't move up. They're kind of stuck where they're at. If you're coming in, the rate is what it is. It is just what it is. If you're in the middle, you're sitting at a 3.3, 2.8, 2.5, and you might need to move up to the next house, but you can't because the rates kept you out of it, right? But if you're really, really wealthy, who cares? Rate doesn't bother me. Whatever, right? And so those are kind of areas. So who I need to be looking at in buyers? It's me. I'm looking at entry level and rich people. That's what I'm looking at. And I would probably try to find rich people. But there's less of them than there are of the entry level, right? So.
Well, that's why I do golf tournaments, because
Right.
a lot of them have money.
Absolutely, right. And I would rather, personally, I would rather sell a home for $800,000 than one for $400,000. That's just my approach to the market. There's some people who feel totally differently, but that's just what I like. You'll find what you like. Listen to individuals, and this is important. Go to where your people are. Talk with the people who are learning about the market, your clients, potential clients, and chat with them. And more importantly, listen to them. The knowledge they provide can be very helpful for you as you make sense of the market, and as importantly to your clients, to what your clients think of the market. As you make sense of the market, it's just as important that you listen and understand what your client thinks of the market. For example, people may be saying interest rates keep going up, so I better not buy now. Or my neighbor's house hasn't sold, so I'm going to hold off on selling because the market must not be good now, right? What that's telling you, and these are really great. When you listen to people and they're saying things like that to you, you know what it's telling you? How you market, right? If you're hearing over and over again, well, rates are really, really high, then you probably need to start marketing things like this California Dream Act, where the rate is high, but they give you a down payment, or the California Dream, whatever it is.
Dream
low.
Wall.
Yeah. It might mean that you need to start doing marketing or educational videos about historic interest rates, because actually 5.86 is low historically, right? It might mean that you need to go talk to somebody like US Bank or East West Bank, who's doing private loans for people with good FICO scores, and start advertising that for people to say, you know, lower than blah, 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 if you're hearing that over and over again. If you're hearing people saying, oh, my neighbor's home didn't sell, so I don't want to sell, that tells me use the 72 Sold program that we've got that you can be part of, a faster, better way to sell that sells for 8 to 12% higher than traditional real estate. That's my MOFR. Make an offer for instant response, right? My offer for instant response. Contact me and I can tell you how you can get a rate lower, X number % lower than the standard, right? The other thing you might want to do is, as you're advertising listings, rather than advertising the price, advertise the payment, right? So at a standard rate, or if you have a bank loan that you're aware of, and you know you have property in the market center they think's good, ask for permission to market it, put some Facebook ads, call your clients about it, and say, hey, we've got a home right now that would probably have a mortgage of about blank. Who do you know who's going to lease it about that right now? Right? So now we're educating ourselves about what the concerns of the client are and how we can meet those concerns, right? So tell the story. And this is important. As you're listening to individuals, you're getting the information, you're incorporating that, and now you're telling you the right story about the market. Keep the headlines in context. When people say, hey, what's going on in the real estate market? You say, tell me. What are you hearing? Right? And that tells you where you can go to. Most of us, when someone says, what's going on in the real estate market? And we go in that, oh, it's a great time to buy, right? Okay, no. What are you guys hearing? Hey, Chris, what's happening in the real estate market? Okay, before I tell you, you tell me what you think is happening in the real estate market, right? And then you go, well, okay, I understand I think that there's a lot of crazy headlines, but here's what's actually happening, right? So now you can respond to their concern rather than just like real estate vomit, right? So read past the headlines and know your numbers, right? Because what they're going to get is a macro view of the country. Your individual markets might be significantly different. Then you could even say that to them, well, here's what's going on in Riverside, but you know what? What's going on in Riverside might not even be what's happening in your market, because there's some areas of the market that are moving really, really quick right now still, and prices are up. It's kind of like a river, right? Like, and so if you're in a river, the stuff in the middle is going fast, the stuff on the sides is kind of twirling around little eddies. What I want to find out is where you're at. So what I'd love to do is, why don't I just do a property valuation for you? And then you can know. I can tell you how fast things, you know, even better, I've got an email I can send you every month. It's called the Neighborhood Nurture. It's going to tell you exactly what's in the market in your neighborhood, how quick it's sold, and what it's sold for. Would that be something you'd want? Awesome. And then you set that up. And then you call them the next month and you say, hey, did you get the Neighborhood Nurture? What did you think of it? Right? And you're reinforcing those things. But read past the headlines. Know your numbers, but ask them their story so you can then tell yours. Explain that the headlines are designed to get clicks, right? So always pay attention to your local MLS. Stay on top of what's happening in your market. Your clients rely on you. And this is the difference between being a guy who sells real estate and being their trusted real estate advisor of choice, right? I want more than the headlines from my financial advisors, and that's you. All right, any ahas from this section so far? All right, turn to your neighbor and tell them an aha that you had. Any market, set, go. With your mouth parts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's more to
Yeah,
it.
I've been
Just
hearing,
knowing
well, not everyone
surface level.
like
You really have to get
see them
deep
like in the threes and twos,
Correct.
like what everyone thinks, oh, I'm
of
just gonna
your
wait for the
market.
market to
Everything
crash.
is vast and different, so you really have to
Yeah, and so,
dig
and
deep.
sometimes when I say to,
It says,
interest rates called refinance, so if you,
that's what I had learned to say that
Mhm.
too. Yeah.
So if you find something that you love right now, and it's a possibility, why not get it? Because it might not be available when those interest rates, if they do ever fall. But right now, historically,
That was one of
they're
the-
lower than they were.
Like the history of the community, like the March
I know
Air Force Base.
it's way back, like in the 70s and 80s,
like
but
the
they were
Army
like
Awards Commission,
17 to 22%,
to know something
you know?
about-
But again, homes were like 80 or 90,000, but still.
to know.
I feel like if you didn't find a way to detour them from thinking like the interest rates are so high and giving them an explanation of a solution that you can offer them,
thing about
if they, you were able to
millennials
find them their interest rate now, then why
now
not?
entering
You know?
the
So-
housing
Yeah,
as first time home buyers. But another like interesting stuff is like Gen Z that has found success with social media.
Comparison to what
They're
people
buying
are
houses
buying.
just as
Yeah,
fast.
because what happened,
Even
what
though
happened
they're
during those years is
more
not gonna happen.
Will never happen again.
Yeah,
really crazy.
or at least not in our lifetime.
It's true. They're buying houses.
Right,
So-
yeah. They're making a lot of money.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're making a ton of money.
Mhm.
Go ahead and do that.
It's good to capture that stuff for
Right.
sure. You gotta know how to like appeal to the.
Yeah,
older,
yeah,
you
Chamber of
gotta know how to
Commerce,
appeal to
yeah.
the middle, you gotta know how to appeal to people who are gonna be
And then, I guess trying to find people who are in the elderly care business. Or
Yeah.
focus on the, or market to those areas. There's a lot of 55 and older communities too. That'd be good to focus on and send out mailers or market there.
All right. All right, guys, what are some of your ahas? Why don't you share it with the group?
But then when you sell the house, they take 20%.
Anybody?
Knowing the community. That was
Yeah.
like knowing like the history of the city. Not
Yeah.
just like the house, not just the houses and what's selling, was knowing the history of how the city came about or what
Mhm.
happened at this time is the reason why it might be this way at now.
Yeah, yeah. I had a client in South Temecula, and he was coming up from San Diego, and he said, "Well, I really want to pay attention to the zip codes to make sure we get good school districts." I said, "Well, there's only two." And then I talked to him a little bit about the area and about the stuff, and he said, "Well, we want to make sure we get newer homes." I said, "Well, we've got 3 levels of homes, right?" And I could go through with him that right here. Riverside, a little bit different. You can go down to historic Riverside, and you can find wiring that goes back to like turn of the century,
Right.
right? But knowing that, if someone wants that really cute craftsman style home down in historic Riverside, knowing what comes with that is huge, because they might think, oh my gosh, it's so cute. Then you might realize, oh, it is cute, but some things ain't, right? But knowing that's important. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What else?
Just to go along with that was just, I grew up where I live. I can't beat that knowledge of the history of everything, schools, everything.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's helpful. And you know, the knowledge of I grew up there is huge, because a lot of people didn't. But then also the going a little bit deeper, right? Staying track of things, like knowing who the city council is, knowing how they vote, who the school board is, right? Knowing what are the things that challenges, what are the goods, all of this stuff. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Norco's easy because it's tight.
Yorba Linda.
Yorba Linda, that's right. You're in Yorba Linda now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Yorba Linda's easy because it's tight.
Yeah.
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 It's like the Norco of Orange County.
Yes.
So, yeah, absolutely. Cool. Good deal. What else? Any other ahas?
Calling the lenders and finding out the programs they have and knowing all of that, that's super important.
Yeah. I would recommend having a couple lenders in your pocket. One, a broker. A broker who's got access to a lot of different programs. Definitely want to have that in my pocket. Two, someone who works with a lending company, right? A mortgage company who they do all their loans. And I'm trying to think of who a mortgage company would be off the top of my head, I'm blanking. And then three, an institutional sort of bank, right? Because they're going to offer different programs. And right now the big banks have a lot of money because the little banks are getting crushed. So big banks can be a little more aggressive. So knowing who they are is important. But perception is everything in these industries. So, but if I got those three, I know what like B of A and Citi are doing, right? I know, or Farmers and Merchants is a great local bank. B of A, Citi, Farmers and Merchants, those are the kind of ones I'd keep my eye on. But I also know how kind of the institutional mortgage lenders are doing. Like Evergreen was one of those. Or the brokers, right? Now I've got everything in my back pocket. Does that make sense? So that's something you want to do. All right, anything else? Any other ahas? Cool, we're going to get into tools. I wanted to bring this up. So this is the MLS if you haven't seen it before. If you're familiar with it, great. There's a tab here that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and it is stats. Now, I honestly don't know how long it's been there, but I know that I used to download spreadsheets from the MLS and crunch them on Excel. And then one day I looked up and went, oh, stats is. And I went, oh my gosh. Either that's new or I've been wasting so much time. When you go to stats, what you're going to get is some pre-made search options, some pre-made search functionality here on the left. I'll see if I can make that bigger because I know it's a bit of an eye chart. Number of active listings in the past 6 months. Think that's important to know?
Yes.
Better believe it is. Days on market. Days on market and price. Historic count of sales by month. Original price versus sold price. These are all really good things to know. But what's even better is I can go, okay, I want to do that residential property, I want to do single family residences, I want to do it in the city of, I'm just going to go Murrieta because that's where I'm from for right now, and I know the zip code's a little bit better. And then I'm going to go, well right now I'm going to stick with that because I'll get a little more granular in a second. And then I'm going to go active listings in the past 6 months. All right, that's about what I want. Yeah, okay, I'm going to generate that. Wow, what's happening with listings in Murrieta in the last 6 months?
Arriving?
They're going down.
Oh, going down.
They're going down. Now, what's kind of cool is I can go to the search and I can get a little more specific on that. It's not giving me, I thought there was a little more active on that. Anyway, but I can get I can go a little more specific. Oh, I can customize. I can say, you know, I don't want the past 6 months. I want the past 12 months. You know, screw that. I want the past 2 years. I really want a good look and to see what's going on. So I'm going to generate that again. Boom. Now we can see what happened in the past 2 years. Okay, so if I'm looking at our listing here in March, compared to January, February, March, we're a little bit below last year, January, February, March, and a lot below 2 years ago, 2021. Let's get even more. Let's go the past 4 years. Okay, so now you can see, yeah, we are historically low on listings. Okay, so is that a buyer's or a seller's market? If listings are low?
Sellers.
Yeah, it would lean more towards sellers. Yeah.
That means inventory's low.
It means inventory is low. Right. Let's go back to my presets. Look at days on market. Generate. Days on market has gone up, and you might go, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. That's there. It's so huge, 35. Okay, customize. Let's go past 4 years and generate. This is median, group by primary year. Oh, hold on now. Is it that crazy? No, because 2019 we were around 27 days on market, right? What happened in 2020? Interest rates crashed, COVID happened, days on market crashed real hard. Days on markets come up, but are they super high? No.
It's pretty average.
I'm not satisfied with this. I'm going to go a little bit further because I think there's more to the story here. So let's go back and let's look back to 2015. 2015, now we're safely out of the Great Recession, right? We're moving forward. Okay, so let's just see. Oh, much different story now, right? In 2015, it was 50 days on the market. Now that came down gradually, right? Till we had interest rates were dropping, the market was coming back, but historically speaking, we're still pretty good. So these are things that, this is context, right? These are things you pull. And did it take long to pull that information?
No.
Nope. All right, so these are the presets here for you. And you can customize those. I say, okay, statistic 1, I'm gonna say days to sell, and I'm gonna go, let's look at sold price. Add that in and generate. Okay, right, now you can see how things are selling by sales price over that time period. So it's just something to play with. I would say play with this tab. It's a very useful tab. It doesn't give you everything. Let's go original price versus sold price real quick. All right, so does it look like a market that's crashing? Original price versus sales price from May 2022 to March 2023. Looks to me like it's about the same across the board.
It's a little decline, but it's not
Little
crazy.
different, not crazy. Let's customize that real quick. Let's go to the past 4 years. Original price in blue, or in green, sales price in blue. So we see a little bit of a decline here in 2022, but you know what that was? I would say in 2022, this was overpriced listings, right? And so the sales price did come down a little bit, but again, does this look like a crashing market to you? So would this be useful to go through with a reluctant seller or a reluctant buyer? Absolutely. So good information to have, just something you want to keep in pocket. That's in the MLS under your under the stats tab. You can play with that today when we're done with our class here. So let me go ahead and close out of that and go back to our presentation.
Chris, I have a question.
Yeah.
Legally, or would you, since I'm new, could you use those charts and graphs and stuff to,
Yes.
like,
You can use charts and graphs. Yeah.
to give, like, email your client list or
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they could see it just in,
Yes, you can. That's all public data.
Okay.
Right? Now, you couldn't go and pull listing information
Right.
and send that directly, like a private listing information. No, but like the number of sales that closed, that's public data, right? I could, if you wanted to, you could go through the tax records and pull that. It'd be tedious, but yes, you're allowed to use that
but
statistic.
like one of those charts or graphs would be so,
Totally,
your
yeah.
average client could just see it right there for
Yep.
themselves
Yep.
without you, yeah.
Yeah, and there are companies, third-party companies that will do that as well. That you know, they give you it really neat and looks kind of cool and all those things. But this is a good cheap way to get it in to do it as well. All right, and then you go stop mirroring, and then we'll just push this back over here. All right, so other tools, your command app. The command app is great, and I use the command app all the time when I'm on the road. If I'm like, I was in Connecticut a couple weeks ago. I was talking to my Uber driver. He said, "Oh yeah, this area is so much cheaper than where we just came from." And it didn't, did I tell the story already? It didn't make sense to me because we were on the coast. Like we were getting next to like coastal properties. And I started searching and there's like $200,000 homes about half an hour from the beach. I thought, wow, that is unbelievable. And then I started thinking of rental rates, right? I used the app, I was in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I was driving through this college town. It's beautiful. Pull the app up, start looking at home prices. You can do this as you're going on a walk, you know, in the afternoon. Just pull up the app and you see a house, just pull it right there. And the goal here is you share that with your clients so then they use it the same way to keep themselves educated about the market. So really powerful tool for you and for your clients. Is anybody using the app already? Yeah? Okay, cool.
Trying to get everything set up. still.
Alright.
Our team uses a Brevity CRM that
Mhm.
has, that we put our information, it's like Command.
Yeah.
but- And then we have our own app too,
Yeah.
that shows what's like, what homes are available and what homes have sold
Right.
around the location you either enter or your current location.
Yep.
So we do have that, just not through Command.
Right. What I'd say for an agent getting started is this is part of what you're paying for already, so use it. Use it, use it, use it. It's branded to you, so when you get your information in, it shows your little picture on there. If they heart or like a property, it gives you notifications about it, all of that. You can set up individual searches as well for them. Then of course, Command. Command is going to be a useful tool for you in staying educated on your business. I talked about your pipeline, right? When you go to the Command desktop, it's going to show you the health of your business right there. And so we want to make sure we're using that to keep track of how we're doing with our lead generation. How many contacts am I making? And you're going to be keeping track of your contact to lead ratio, right? All of those things are really, really important to be doing. Managing your transactions, customizing your reports, all of that. So let me pull real quick. I'm going to pull Command up and see if I can show you that. KW, boom, do. Give me 1 second, I'll pull that up for you. Because there's some of the features here I really, really think are important, and I'm not sure that they're utilized as much as they should be. And let me go to display preferences, and I'll get rid of mirroring here for terminating out. 1 second as I try to handle technology. All right. Cool. I mentioned this a second ago. And I want to just kind of show it to you because I think it's a very powerful feature. So here we're in the Command app on the desktop. No, let me see which user I'm in right now. Is that the team or is that me? It's the team, good. Okay, so if I go into Command right now, I can look at my desktop and it's going to tell me if I have any tasks. You'll see I don't have any assigned right here. It's going to tell me the number of leads I've generated to date, the number of appointments I've generated to date, the number of contracts I've generated to date, and the number of closed units I've generated to date. It's going to give me my gross commission income goal, right? And it's going to give me my estimated total GCI for the year. It's also going to keep track of my annual goal down here for leads, appointments, contracts, and closed units. If I go into opportunities, it's going to give me even more. Right, so here I'm in my opportunities tab, and you can see that right now I have a potential income in my database of $107,000. I think I got to change that because I closed one earlier this year. I have probable income of $87,000 if I follow up on those leads. And the way it projects that is it looks in my leads, my lead funnel here. I have my listing leads up here. I had one appointment. Where did that go? I'm in appointments. Let's go see. Oh yeah, Joe Gardia over here. And we kept that appointment. Good. And then if I go into active, it'll show how many listings I have active. Right? That one's no longer active, that one's out, so I gotta move that. And it goes into under contract. All right, Justin Wilga, I had him on here 3 times because I was using it as examples. Justin actually moved past appraisal, went from clear to close, boom, and has actually, I'm gonna move him through, Justin and Bridget actually closed.
Did you sell the Canyon Lake house?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
That one was ridiculously overpriced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Because our team just got a listing
Yep.
in Canyon Lake.
Right.
So.
And closing date was, I don't know, I'm not going to put that in there because I got to fix that. But anyway, so you see what I'm saying here.
Mhm.
But now I go back to my leads, I go to Cultivate. If I look at my Cultivate tab, so you just made a connection with a friend who's got a referral in Louisiana. I'm going to put that in Cultivate. Why? Because I'm going to follow up with that. Because if they sell that home in Louisiana or buy something, I want to be the referral source.
Mhm.
So Cultivate tells me this is a lead that I need to stay in touch with, right? If it's a listing, now I'm going to go back. If it's a buyer, I put him in buyer Cultivate. When I get the appointment, I move him to appointments. And when we start showing homes, we go active. And when we have an offer accepted, we go under contract, and it projects the income across the board, right? Now this is critical because this is the health of your business. The more people in Cultivate means the more people in appointments, means the more appointments in active, means the more contracts. And knowing the ratio of how many leads Cultivate to appointments is huge, right? So every person you talk to says, oh, I'm thinking about moving back from Oregon to move to California. Cultivate. I'm going to touch base with them more often than I am going to do with my quarterly contact plan, right? But we want to make sure we're keeping that data in. So Command is a great resource to you to use, and then you can actually pull your own reports. So I can go look at my Command database right now, and I can say lead routing. I can say my reports right here. How many cultivate, how many appointments, all these things, and I can pull that, and I can take a look at the health of my business that way. I can go in reports and see how are my emails doing. And I can track how many delivered, how many undelivered, opened, clicked, replied, unsubscribed. Right? I can actually do the same thing with my calls. Right? How many Twilio credits have I used? How many SMS messages have I used? And you can keep track of that through here as well. So the incredibly powerful tools available for you on Command. So I just want to get through that and going back to the presentation now. Any questions on Command? Did you know it could do all those things? Do you see how that would be helpful for your business? Okay, so that's why it is more important. Like there's working on your business, there's working in your business. If you haven't set up your database yet, you need to work on your business. You need to get that done, because without that, you're flying blind, you're walking down a dark hallway. Once you get that set up, now you're prepared to work in your business effectively, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing those things. All right, let me drop this, and we're going to go to, boom, use a separate display, and we're back up. Cool. All right, KW app, we talked about this. From the App Store, you can use this to help search for apps. You can use it for your clients. It's a great conversation starter, or when you're talking with somebody on the side of the field, and they say, hey, I'm really thinking about doing X, Y, or Z. You go, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to do you the biggest favor. I'm going to send you my app right now. You go on, you pull the app, you text it to them, they download it, they register, and now they're in your database and they're searching for properties. This makes you look like a pro, right? And most people don't have this. It's part of what you have. So please use it to establish your credibility and your expertise. Okay. Good. Well, hey, establish your business on social media. So one of the things that you're going to be doing, and we talked about this as your success system, is as part of that, you're going to be really establishing yourself as an expert on social media. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to like 10 posts a day. That means, this is what I love about this. Social media can be an incredible generator of business, or it can be an incredible sucking waste of time, right? The choice and the difference is, will you run a system or a model? If you run a system or a model, then you can track what your efforts do and what the result of those efforts are. Good Lord. Right? That's important. Can I track this to know if it's working? If you run a model, you can do that. If you don't run a model, then what happens is you just go, oh, I post things. So a model is, I like 10 posts a day. And then what you can do is you can pull your friends list, and you can actually run a DTD2, do the database twice by their last name, and you can go through and you can start running them systematically, so you're liking people in a systematic way, not relying on the algorithm to tell you who you do and do not get to see. Now, when you interact with other people's posts, you know what that does?
It bumps your information so they can see it.
It prioritizes your posts on their stream. Right? So liking is good, not the best. Writing 5 comments a day is much more powerful. In fact, if you write 5 comments a day, and I believe you've got to use over 5 words and an emoji, then it's going to prioritize you even more. So now, all of a sudden, that person is seeing everything you're doing. They'll be like, man, I'm seeing Kaylin everywhere. And they're seeing you posting other people's listings. They're seeing you posting preview videos of other people's homes. They're seeing you post articles about interest rates or the truth behind the real estate market. And now they're going, wow, Kaylin's killing it. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, she's doing so well. You may or may not be, but perception is 9/10 of reality, right? And so what happens is when they have a friend who wants to sell real estate, they go, you know what, I got a buddy who's doing that, he's killing it right now. And they give you a call. And that's what we're trying to establish with this. So 5 comments a day can't be like, cool. It's got to be words, right? And use emojis.
Yeah.
I hate emojis, but use them,
Yeah.
right?
I don't think, if I remember correctly, like you have to actually write out 5 words. Like you can't just like do 5 happy face emojis.
No, you actually, I think you have to use words.
Yeah, you have to use the
Yeah,
words.
totally.
And then, do you mind if I add something to this?
Please. Yeah.
So what I've noticed is, because I'm really big on social media, what I notice is a lot of people, they don't really interact with your posts, but they see it. Because I have people calling me like, I've seen all your posts and, you know, you're killing it, or you're doing good, or, you know, I have a referral, whatever. But I'm like, oh, well, you never liked it or said anything, but people are seeing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get videos with like 20 views, and then I get videos with like 2,000-3,000 views. So
Yep.
it just depends.
Because most people are scrolling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're seeing you and they're seeing your family stuff, they're seeing your trip to Universal to go to Mario Land or your trip to the movies, whatever, that's cool, that's cute. And then they see the listing you posted, and then they see that it's a mix, right? So you're not just going to be real estate monster. I post real estate all the time. But you're going to do a mix, but you're going to be intentionally doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to send one direct message a day. Now, personally, I think this is a bit minimal. I think you could probably do more. I think if you called somebody, you didn't get a hold of them, or you didn't have their information, but you wanted to call them, I would direct message them. I would run a DTD2, do the database twice, on direct messages, right? So that the people who are in my Facebook, who I don't have their information for, now I can start contacting them in a systematic way too, right? So just things to think about. But establish yourself as an expert on social media. This is how you do it. Okay. Okay, there in your participant guide, there's an activity labeled Brainstorming Your Social Media Personality. Go ahead and find that real quick in your books. Find that, and then I want you to open up your social media and look at some of your recent posts and liked posts, and make a list of the interests that do not include real estate. That might include puppy pictures, nice dining experiences, cool latte art, I'm just reading here, unique tattoos, things of that nature. Explain that these interests are key to establishing their brand and presence on the internet. Okay, so what they're saying is be intentional about your brand, right? Like my brand is pretty clean. Right? My brand is going to be my kids, it's going to be church, it's going to be real estate. That's my brand. Right? Those things mission. Probably going to stay away from politics, although I love it as a sport. Don't love it as a reality. Right? But those are those kind of things, right? So take a look right now. Find that activity in your books.
So are you talking about your personal
Yep.
page?
There's no difference. You have your business page, which brings credibility to your business page. You have your business page, which brings credibility to your personal page. But I want you to start thinking of your personal page as a place where you develop real estate relationships. Right? Yeah. And what is your brand on that? Is it discernible? One of the things, when I started speaking nationally, I had to give a lot of thought of, can people understand who I am, right? And so the talks that I do, we had to outline what those talks are. They could find it. It was easy to understand, right? The appearance had to be easy to follow. You had to look like the same guy week after week. It's the same thing with your real estate career. Can they understand who you are? Because we don't like to use a lot of energy, and our brain is the biggest user of energy in our bodies. So when I go to your social media page, can I scroll through that and get a sense of who you are and what your brand is? Right. Cool. So so brainstorming your social media personality, open up your social media, look at your recent like posts, and then try to define, if someone else was looking at you, I would say, how would they define your brand? What is your brand about? I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do that.
On Facebook.
Chris, how do you find your recent likes? Like, is there a spot on Facebook like that lists that? Or you literally just have to scroll through?
Usually when if you go to your profile and you scroll through your profile, it'll show you some of that. But it's not just Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be TikTok, it could be whatever you're most active on.
reactions, likes, interactions. Why would I need to do that?
All right, well, that was your 4 minutes. What did you find?
Lots of family stuff, kids,
Yeah?
likes of families, kids, not my own, not just my
Mhm.
own. Horses are a huge part of my life, so lots of horse things,
Yeah,
animal stuff,
okay,
decorating, stuff like that.
cool. What else?
Found a lot of food.
Okay.
There's a ton of that. A lot of cats, games, family life.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. What else?
I also like stuff that people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
Not if like I follow someone that has like hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't like. I just view their stuff.
Right.
I don't like or anything like or comment on anything like that because I feel like it won't make me mad.
Yeah.
So I just
If I was looking at your, this is the way I kind of think about it. If I was looking at your stuff and I was going to describe your brand, how would I do that based on what was there? Family and horses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. What, Kaylin, food and food and what?
Food and games.
Food and games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
What if I'm only liking like funny posts?
That might be
Like I
humor.
don't like anybody's anything.
yeah.
I
Comedy.
I just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that might be just, I like funny stuff. So you might be like humor, and you might be, there's an agent I know who just posts dumb dad jokes all the time, right? It's kind of his thing, right? That's fine. But so you kind of understanding that, now Seth Godin is a marketing expert. He's written a number of books. And I love what he says about the modern economy because it applies so much to real estate. All you need to be massively successful at anything online is 1,000 rabid fans. That's it. If you're selling subscriptions to like a learning or a course for $25 a month, and you have 1,000 people doing it, how much money are you making? Right? If you have 10 people doing it, right? If you're selling it for $10, you're still making a ton of money, right? as a real estate agent, it's kind of the similar thing. If there are 1,000 people out there who think about you and they think about real estate and they like you enough that they're going to tell their friends about you, are you going to have any want for business? None. And so part of that is, okay, so who are my people? What's my brand? The mistake a lot of people make is they say, I'm going to go be Coca-Cola. Coke's trying to sell to every person in the world. You don't need to. Find the people that are looking for you and go get them, right? Like be you, but define who that person is clearly so that people can understand who that is, right? And that helps people come into your ecosystem. So something to think about, just as we're looking at our social media, being intentional now. One of the things I would ask you to do is diagram your social media. And when I say diagram, I mean, what is the cadence of your posts right now? How often do you post a day? And what are those posts related to? Right? And you may find, last week, I posted 37 videos of cats and one post about real estate. Ooh, that might be too much, right? And so what's the cadence that feels natural to me? One of the things that they recommend is 20% of your posts should be about real estate, right? Because your social media, you should be establishing a personality outside of real estate, right? People want to do business with people. So, but look at that. What's the cadence of my posting? Am I posting 20% about real estate, right? Or is my social media like 90% pictures of me, right? Which might be a great brand, depending on your brand. But you have to define that and decide it and be intentional about it and then measure it so you know if it's producing. And that's what we want you to start thinking about as a model. Other enrichments are going to help you be an expert. Study your market center reports, right? We're going to do a monthly market update at Connection Point where I go through the stats of the market. We're also going to talk about our numbers a little bit. Know how the market center is doing, right? Preview homes. After this, you're going to go finish up your success systems, right? You're going to make those calls because that's the most important generator of business you've got is connection. What I'd recommend after that, if you don't have anything to do, is go look at homes. Partner up, don't go by yourself, and go look at homes, right? Preview things. The reason I say don't go by yourself is it's just not safe, right? I've walked into homes. I remember during the crash, I walked into a home and there was a squatter living there. Scariest thing, I mean, it's just scary, right? Particularly, you know, in this world, do not go by yourself. Go preview homes, but go as a team. And then what I recommend is practice showing each other the home, right? All right, I'm the client on the next one, boom. And just go take a look. Go see our listings. Go see whatever. Go find a neighborhood you've always wanted to see in those houses and go look at them. This is the freedom of real estate, right? And if it's vacant, it's really easy. If it's not, call the agent and say, hey, I'm previewing homes for one of my clients. I'd like to preview your home at this time. If they say no, they're a terrible real estate agent, right? But they might say, well, let me call my client and see, right? Or they might say, tell me about your client, right? That's fine. Say, don't say, I don't actually have one. Say, okay, yeah, well, I've got a friend who's looking to do blah, blah, blah. Or I'm working with some millennials who are trying to get in, or I'm working with somebody, da-da-da-da, right? Or, you know, my client would like to remain anonymous. Whatever you want to do, just go see the home, right? Christine, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, definitely go see them. Like, you don't even realize how much information you'll get from just going versus looking at on the computer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'll go.
Christine Simonson will go with you, and then you've got a pro who has been a mentor to many agents helping you out. So explain the list of 6 things listed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sorry, going. Okay, if this is directions to me. Dude, explain the list. Okay, okay, sorry, ridiculous. All right, so study your market center report, preview homes, take an MLS course. You can do that online or through the association, but you should be, the MLS is your tool. You should know how to use it. Everything is hard when you begin. You cannot be good at anything without being bad at it first. And so most people will try a new thing, a new technology, a new tool. They go, oh, I don't know how to do this, and then they just stop. That's not how you gain mastery. You gain mastery by being bad at something. So go be bad at the MLS until you're good at it, right? Take a class on it if you need to. And you can do that through the association, and they're typically free. Visit and hold open houses. I love visit open houses, right? Just, anybody can do that. There are a ton of them now. So go when you're out on the weekend with your kids, just stop by open houses, right? Introduce yourself, give your card. Don't Like, I don't lead the agents on, right? You don't want to do that. Just say, hey, I live in the neighborhood, wanted to come by and see how's it going. Talk to the agent. How many showings have you had? How do you feel about the price? What do you think about the neighbors? Anything interesting here? Okay, great. You know, use them as resources. Study the language of real estate. We talked about that earlier. Go on the MLS, know what's happening, what's selling, what's the average days on market, how does that compare to historical trends, and read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And I mentioned that book in the beginning. This is your foundational course. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent is the foundational textbook of building a massively successful real estate business. Because what it's going to do is it's going to give you the knowledge to create a business that is scalable to whatever level you desire, truly. And there are people who have done and they've built incredible individual agent businesses. They sell 50-something homes a year and they live great lifestyles. There are also people like Cody Gibson who have put, businesses in multiple cities around the country, and now he runs a network that is national because he uses a real estate agent to build that, and he just scaled it up, right? You can do that. And that guy started in Alaska, right? There's nothing in Alaska. And now he runs a multi-million-dollar company in Keller Williams where he's got expansion offices, I think, in 50 different cities, right? So the Millionaire Real Estate Agent can take you as far as you want to go. Read that. What else? What are other things that you can do to enrich yourself? What else? What else? What else? Think about it.
I use YouTube as a great resource.
Sure, YouTube. You can go and watch YouTube. You can watch command videos on YouTube, right? What else?
Doing classes like this.
Yeah, doing this is absolutely enrichment. And Keller Williams has unlimited numbers of courses. KW Connect, you can find a lot of materials right there online you can do. What else?
Just ask questions.
Yes, ask questions. Christine's in the room. She is an experienced producer. Hey, Christine, when can I sit down and talk to you sometime? Right? Look around the market center. You see an ALC tag? Knock on the door and say, hey, you're on the ALC? Great. Hey, is there a time? Can we go get lunch sometime? Right? And just learn from top producers. Right? Mm-hmm. What you will find in the most successful real estate agents is they're the ones who just were in the office picking up everything they could. David Borja, who capped this year, right? I think it's his first year and he capped. You know what he did? He just hung out and talked to people, right? Go knock on Tyler's door, ask him to go to lunch. Go knock on Kevin's door, ask him to go to lunch. And you're gonna find two totally different people, right? Kevin is reserved and kind of quiet. Tyler is not. Totally different people, hugely successful, right? So find, and just that's a huge resource, other real estate agents, absolutely. Cool. Anything else before I move on? All right, boom. All right, so we did our ahas, and then, okay, so this is what we've covered today, is knowing your market. And this is, I can't even read that back there. Okay. Knowing your market, knowing the type of market you're in, knowing what the inventory is, knowing the interest rates and lenders, the economic factors affecting your market, and any other market factors. We also learned about building your expertise, learning the market and learning your clientele. And then listening to individuals and keeping the headlines in context. Anybody want to comment on any of those things? When I say type of market, what does that mean?
Is it sellers or buyers?
Sellers, buyers are balanced. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Cool. And what would make it a seller's market?
A low inventory?
Low inventory. High demand, low inventory, right? Mm-hmm. Is this a seller's market right now? No? Why isn't it a seller's market right now? What's that?
Not everybody's selling.
Well, there's low inventory, so you would think traditionally you would think, yeah, low inventory must be a seller's market. But what is also low right now?
Buyers?
Demand. Demand is kind of low right now. And so it's a very weird market. I think it's more of a balanced market than anything else, but it's weird, right? Is it buyer's market? No. Why? Because low inventory, right? And still demand high enough to eat that inventory up. So it's an interesting market right now, but that's something to be able to speak to. How do you find out about interest rates?
Talk to a lender.
Talk to a lender. Yep. What kind of lenders do you need to have in your pocket?
Broker.
Broker, institutional.
Broker, institutional, yeah.
Mortgage.
and like a mortgage company, right? So big banks, mortgage broker, and then lending company, right? Mortgage company. Good. What are economic factors that can affect the market?
Employment.
Employment, huge. What else?
Shops, restaurants.
Shops, restaurants, yeah, developments, things happening in your area, businesses coming in or moving out. What
Rates.
else? What's that?
Rates.
Rates. Absolutely, rates can do it. What else? Politics?
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. Right? Legislation that's going to raise or lower taxes? Huge. I mentioned LA's mansion tax. It's having a massive effect on Los Angeles right now. Right? Those kind of things. Cool. Any other market factors?
Growth of the growth rate of the community.
Yeah, growth rate of the community. Absolutely. Yeah. What about schools? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. And then learn the market and learn the clientele. How do you learn your clientele?
Just talk to them.
Talk to them. Listen to them.
Listen
Listen to
to
them.
them.
You do your calls and then you listen to your clients, right? And that's how you learn your clientele. And what they're telling you is how to market to your clients. When they tell you their concerns or their hesitations, their objections, they're telling you what language you need to learn, right? How do I deal with that objection? They're also telling you how do you market. They're also telling you what you need to go research, right? So learning from your client, your clients are going to be your roadmap to learning. Cool. All right. Well, hey guys, that wraps up today's class. What I want you to think about is how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new? What do you feel differently about today? And how will your behavior be different going forward? What will you take action on, right? And what tools or models or systems will you use? And how will they make you accountable? Do me a favor, turn to your neighbors, have a conversation about those 4 things. Remark, get set, go.
Okay, perfect. So, here's my thinking change. That
What are you gonna take
I need to set more time aside to learn about the interest rates and how the market is and kind of maybe like